Hello guys! In our last video, we installed the needed programs, packages, and frameworks. We initiated our project and then created our server. In this video, we're going to connect our Node.js application with MySQL. I think you remember that in our previous video, we made sure to start our server in order to be able to connect with us to connect the MySQL with our application. And also, let's go to packages.json and make sure that we installed also the MySQL dependency in our package.json. Now, let's go to let's go to Node.js. Let's go to index.js and then import MySQL. And to do so, we are going to write the following line here. Const MySQL, require MySQL. To be able to use MySQL inside our Node.js, we should require it inside the code. And since we imported, now let's start our database. So to do that, we should write the following line, which is const db. db here is a variable in which we are going to store our MySQL connection. So you can give it any name that you want and type the following line, mysql.create connection. This is a function inside Node.js that creates connection. So inside this function, we're going to add to add some objects which are our local host. So inside here, let's add our host, which is localhost, because we are working on our server. But in case you are using the server that you purchase online from many server providers online, you just need to replace the local host with the server IP here. And then after that, we should add the user, which will be root in our case, and then the password. And also the password, our password here will be empty. And empty here, that means 2 single quotes with no space inside. Make sure there's no space inside these 2 single quotes. And where are we getting these data from? We're getting these data from our database. And now we don't have a database, so we're going to PHP MyAdmin to create the database that we want to include it here inside this object. Let's go to the browser and type localhost /PHP MyAdmin, and then you will be access to the PHP MyAdmin dashboard. This is the dashboard of PHP MyAdmin. We click here on new, and then inside here we type the name of the database that we want to create. I already created here. I call it nodejs -project. You can give it any name that you want. And inside this database, you should create the table, the tables that you want to use in your project. So let's say I want to create a table called user. So it contains 4 columns. Yeah, and these columns or this table contains first the ID of the users, which will be an integer, and in here we should make sure that it's not scoring. Anyway, we should make sure it is an integer, and in here we have the AI increment sorry, they ticked or checked. So when you check this text box or this checkbox here, then whenever any new user signed up or signed up to your form, it will give this user an ID, an incremented ID, so automatically. So the first user will take an ID number 1. The second one will take ID number 2, 3, etc. And now the second one will be the name, and it will be an integer with length of 100. The third one is email, also integer and also 100, the values, length value. And the last one will be a password, and I gave it a 255 length. So the password could take 255 characters inside it. And no, sorry, and the name should be a varchar. Also the email varchar, and the password also varchar. So it can be any number or character. And then after we create all of these fields in our table, now we're ready to go to hit save. So now, after we created our database, let's come back here into index.js and type the name of that database that we created inside the database here. So now we created a connection. Let's connect. So in order to be able to connect, let's type the following. So db is the variable where we stored our connection. db.connect connect, and inside inside here we're gonna have an error. We can have here either an error or a result, but let's say that we want to have an to show the error. Okay, so let's create an anonymous function, and inside this function there will be an if statement. So if there is an error, show me a message, or show me a message inside the console. So console.log the error. And if there is not, else, what should I do? If there is not no an error, show me a message that connection created or MySQL connected. Console.log MySQL connected. And okay, let's finish this one. And inside here there should be, let's save. And now let's test if the connection is properly. Let's view our terminal in case you don't have it yet. So let's type npm start to start the server, and then see what will happen. Okay, great. So now we have MySQL connected. That means that everything is working properly and the connection was made successfully. There is one last thing I want to say, is that, we don't want to put our sensitive data inside the code index.js, like the username, the password, IDs, and so on. So we want them to be protected in a separate file. That's why we installed the .env inside our project in the first video. So in here, to be able to use this one, first, before everything, let's go and create a new file. I will call it .env, but you can call it, for example, sensitive data.env, blah, 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 .env. So, but I call it a .env file. And as you know that if you want to use any the dependency inside our nodejs, we should include it or require it inside our nodejs code. So to do that, we created here the const.env, require.env. And now, after we imported our .env inside our code, so let's go and config the .env file and tell what is the path where this .env file is coming from. So we type .env.config, and the path is dot / means that it's not inside any specific folder, it's outside any folder, it's like here. And then we call the name of the file, so .env, or if you name it passwords to .env or sensitive data.env, whatever you call it. Let's hit save and go back to our .env file and start putting our sensitive data. So our first sensitive data is the database that we created previously. So in here we should make sure that make sure that you write the variables names in as capital letters. Okay, so what is our database? It's local, is a nodejs project, so it is nodejs -project. And there's no need to put a single quotes here, no need to put any brackets, no need to put also a semicolon. No, keep it like this. Database database equals to nodejs -project, the name of the database, our database. And then let's add our second sensitive data. So let's say database underscore host. And this one is localhost. And also we have database underscore user, which is root. And the last one is database underscore password. And in here we keep it empty. Okay, let's hit save and go back again to our index.js. Now, instead, we can replace in our create connection function, we can create, we can replace the names of these values with the values that are here. So instead of telling the real name of the database, we can call it database. Instead of telling the real name of the host, we can the local host, we can replace it by the database underscore localhost. So let's do that in our code. So the database here is process. Instead of this one, we should write process.env.database. And for the local host, we type the following: process.env.database underscore host. And for the second one also, instead of root, we type underscore user. And in here, in the password, we keep it empty. Instead of keeping it empty here, we type also process.env database underscore password. Then let's hit save. We got here an error. Let's check what is this error. So in our message that says that access denied for the root at localhost, it's not defined. So let's go back to our env file. So you see that we have written our root in a capital letter, maybe because the caps lock was pressed at that time. So let's change it to root and save. Let's go back here and click save. And then now we can see that MySQL is connected. That means that everything until now is working properly. So now in the next video, we will create our home page. So for this and more, see you there.